Something strange is happening to the internet, and most people have not noticed yet. Google is not dying. Websites are not disappearing. Programmers are not becoming obsolete. And yet, ask anyone who runs a website, writes code for a living, or just graduated with a computer science degree, and they will all tell you something feels off, even if none of them can quite explain what. Here is what is actually happening. The internet is not collapsing. It is being hollowed out. The top gets richer, the bottom finds new ground, and the middle, the actual middle class of the internet, the small websites, the junior programmers, classic SEO, the 4-year computer science degree, is quietly being deleted floor by floor. 5 questions. Let us go one at a time, with the real numbers, not the panic. First question, is Google dying? Short answer, no. Google still owns roughly 90% of global search, and that number barely moved even at its worst. But look closer, and the story flips completely. Google now answers your question directly on the results page through something called AI overviews, and those now show up on almost half of all tracked searches. Healthcare questions, 88% of the time. Education questions, 83%. Even entertainment searches, over a third. That means for roughly half of everything you type into that search bar, Google gives you the full answer right there and never sends you anywhere else. The result has a name, zero-click search. 68% of Google searches in the US now end with absolutely nobody clicking a single link. When an AI overview does appear above the normal results, the click-through rate on the actual link underneath falls from around 15% down to 8%. Even paid ads take a hit, dropping from roughly 20% clicked down to about 6%. 80% of people now say AI-generated answers cover at least 40% of their searches. So Google is not losing the war for search. Google is winning it so completely that it no longer needs the rest of the internet to win. Low-key, the scariest kind of monopoly there is, the kind that does not need to kill anyone. It just quietly stops sending them customers. Second question, are websites disappearing? Not yet, but a lot of them are starving. Small publishers, the ones getting a few thousand visits a day, have lost around 60% of their search traffic. Mid-sized publishers, 47% gone. Even the giant news sites are down 22%. Some individual publications lost over 40% of their total traffic in a single year. Here is the part that really stings. Yes, ChatGPT and other AI chatbots do send some traffic back to websites, and that referral volume has actually grown by more than 200%. Sounds like good news until you learn that all of it combined still makes up less than 1% of a typical publisher's total traffic. And each of those visits carries something like 95% less value than an old-fashioned Google click used to. Some publishers are now seriously discussing walking away from Google search indexing entirely, on purpose. Sit with that for a second. The single company that built its empire by indexing the entire web is now being actively avoided by parts of that same web. That is not a website apocalypse with a dramatic ending. That is a slow website famine. And famines are much harder to notice from the outside than explosions. Third question. Does SEO still exist? Yes, but it just got a completely new job description. The old game was simple. Rank number 1, win the click. The new game has a name, GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, sometimes called Answer Engine Optimization, and the goal is no longer to rank. The goal is to get quoted. Instead of chasing a blue link at the top of a results page, businesses now chase a single sentence inside an AI-generated answer. Entirely new metrics have shown up that did not exist 2 years ago. Citation frequency, share of model, meaning how often a chatbot mentions your brand by name. AI referral traffic, a category that basically did not exist before 2024. Based take. Honestly, this might be the most honest job description SEO has ever had in its entire history. Stop trying to trick a ranking algorithm with keyword tricks. Just say something clear enough, structured enough, and true enough that a machine actually wants to repeat it word for word. Fourth question. What about programmers? This one is not a myth. It is a real, measurable fracture. Junior developer hiring is down 35% compared to 2023. Coding bootcamp enrollment is down 40%. Unemployment among fresh computer science graduates has climbed to somewhere around 6 to 7%. Some companies now running AI coding agents report needing 30 to 50% fewer junior developers just to ship the exact same routine features they always shipped. But here is the twist that makes this more interesting than a simple doom story. Senior developers using AI tools are roughly 35% more productive than before. GitHub Copilot alone is now used by 77% of professional developers worldwide. And demand for a brand new role, AI engineer specifically, has grown 300% in the same window. So no cap, programming itself is not dying. The bottom rung of the ladder is being sawed off. If all you can do is write boilerplate code from a tutorial, that skill is worth close to nothing right now. If you can review, direct, debug, and actually understand what an AI just wrote for you, you are more valuable than at almost any point in the last decade. Canon event for anyone who assumed a coding job was a guaranteed ticket for life. Fifth question. What about the degree itself? This is the one almost nobody saw coming this fast. Computer science enrollment at four-year universities just dropped 8.1% in a single academic year, the steepest drop of any major tract anywhere in the country. Stanford research found a 4.6% national decline in computer science course enrollment across more than 1,000 institutions, the first national drop in almost 20 years. At the University of California alone, computer science majors are down 9% over just 2 years. Here is the twist that turns this from sad into genuinely interesting. While the traditional four-year CS degree is shrinking, interest in AI literacy, short courses, and coding minors is exploding, and not only among computer science students across almost every major on campus, from business to biology. Delulu to think the old four-year path disappears completely overnight. Universities move slowly. More accurate to say, the credential that used to guarantee a job quietly stopped being a guarantee, and everyone on campus is now racing to figure out what actually is one. So who is actually driving all of this? Mostly a small handful of companies, and they know exactly what they are doing. Google built AI overviews specifically to keep users inside its own ecosystem instead of routing them out to websites. OpenAI, with ChatGPT, ships new search and shopping features every few months, each one designed to answer more of your questions without you ever leaving the chat. Microsoft folded an AI assistant directly into GitHub, into Windows, into Office, so the tools programmers and office workers already used every day quietly became AI tools too. And underneath all of it, a wave of smaller startups nobody has heard of yet are racing to sell one single product, tools that help companies get quoted inside these AI answers, basically SEO consultants for a search engine that does not even have a results page anymore. None of this is happening without a fight, though. Publishers and news organizations are suing several of these AI companies over training on their content without payment, cases still working through courts right now that could reshape the entire economics of this shift. AI answers still get things wrong often enough that trusting them blindly is genuinely risky, especially for anything medical, legal, or financial. And a handful of governments are already drafting rules that would force AI companies to disclose sources, or even pay publishers directly for content used inside an answer. None of that stops the overall trend. It just means the next 5 years get decided as much in courtrooms and parliaments as they do in code. So, is the internet dying? No. It is doing something stranger and honestly more interesting. Picture the entire internet as one tall building. For 30 years, the middle floors were absolutely packed. Small websites, junior programmers, classic SEO agencies, computer science lecture halls full of students. Right now, the elevator is stopping less and less on those middle floors. Value is moving up to the penthouse, the AI answer itself, and down to the basement, the raw human skill of actually knowing how to direct these tools, no matter what your diploma says. If you run a website, the winning move is no longer ranking, it is becoming the one source an AI system trusts enough to quote by name. If you are learning to code, the winning move is no longer memorizing syntax. It is learning to direct a system that already knows the syntax better than you ever will. So what do you actually do with all of this? If you run a website or a business online, stop obsessing over rank position. Start writing content so clear and so well sourced that an AI has no choice but to quote you directly. If you are a programmer or thinking about becoming one, stop competing with AI on typing speed. You will lose that race every time, and start competing on judgment, on knowing exactly when the AI-generated code in front of you is actually wrong. And if you are choosing a degree right now, do not panic and avoid computer science entirely. Panic is exactly what pushes people into the wrong industry at the wrong time. Learn to work with these systems from day one, whatever your major ends up being on paper. And if none of those 5 questions describe your life right now, it probably will soon, because in 5 years this stops being a tech story entirely. It becomes everyone's story. Follow for the next mini documentary, because on this channel we are just getting started.